the absolute most ridiculous sounding car you're ever going to hear in your entire life. It will never come out on camera as good as Kevin and I are currently hearing this bad boy. Kevin's like, you got to take it up to 9K. I'm like, all right, well, I need the right road. Well, this is the right road. You ready? Let's do it. Woo! Wow. I mean, that is insane.
I'll do it PDK that way.
Yeah, turn it on for a second. So this is now PDK Sport. God. Jesus. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. I know we're on public streets and I'm going to be good, I promise. But like, just take us to the track and just enjoy it. And I'm just so thankful that Kevin is one of those rare individuals who actually buys cars and uses them as they were intended.
Oh yeah.
Because you're never gonna be able to do what we're doing right now is crazy, right? And we're not even pushing it. That's the thing. You're revving out 1, maybe 2 gears. Welcome back, guys. My name is Adam. Welcome to Driven Productions. I'm here with my very good friend Kevin. Kevin?
Hey, bro.
Man, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the HQ.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
This is beautiful.
And sharing. I'm sure you guys saw the front montage that Brian made. You probably also saw a little bit of the POV Drive. Wow. I mean, I am still buzzing, legitimately buzzing from the engine and plenum sounds that this thing makes.
My cheeks are hurting from smiling and laughing so much.
If you don't have an SHIT grin when you drive this car, then you are just not a car enthusiast. But this thing delivers the goods.
It does.
This thing delivers the goods.
It does, and that sound is just unreal. I've never heard it in anything before.
It's unreal.
Yeah,
There's
it really is.
Even when you're not going 8, 9K on the RPMs, it's just the sound of the air and the organicness that it gives you. And then the PDK shifts. It doesn't really matter where you shift it, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't matter. The PDK just never cuts power.
And that downshift.
And the downshift, every time it's like a sound, and it's so cool.
So nice.
There's just nothing else.
I was just talking to Kevin, guys, about the downshift. Like, it's never gonna pick up, but I'm gonna try to do it, right? Just listen to that. I could do that all day long. Literally just butter behind this guy. And that is so cool.
It's so awesome.
Right? I mean, wow.
When I was getting ready to do this review, guys, I was getting a little salty at Porsche.
Yeah.
I really was, especially on this car, because this is the car that I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
This is the car that I wanted to get from my Porsche Nashville dealership, and they wanted an ADM fee. And if you don't know what an ADM fee, it stands for additional dealer markup. And it's not something that Porsche dealers have to deal with in Europe. Okay, this isn't a US-based issue.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Ferrari used to deal with this too, and Ferrari went to a policy not long ago, and they said, we're not gonna sell any of our cars with anything but MSRP. And there's a gentleman's agreement with them that when you wanna sell your car, you give it back to Ferrari, right? And then they will sell it for whatever the market is on that car, which is obviously higher, more cases than not.
Yeah.
Now, with Porsche, it's a little bit of a different game. So in Europe, guys, if you're not familiar, basically, if you want this car, they have to sell it to you for MSRP, but you have to be a good customer. Wink, wink. So for example, there's a great series, Mark Mahanan on YouTube right now, and he went and tried to get a 3RS allocation, right, for the new 911. And they said that if you wanted it, you had to buy 2 Porsche Taycans and a 911 turbo cab.
Oh, wow.
Right? And then it was, of course, no ADM because they can't sell it to them for ADM. So they kind of play that game, right? It's like if you're a great customer and you buy a Macan and you buy a Taycan, which you're going to lose your you-know-what on. Guys, if you buy a Turbo S Taycan right now, you lose $70,000 to $80,000 driving it off the lot. Just the fact that you titled it sucks, I know. Even though it's a fantastic car, I love the Taycan.
I do too.
It really is a great car, but it just doesn't hold its value. So it's interesting, the games is my point that you have to play to get this car.
When I heard the rumors of it coming up, you know, I tried to get it, tried to call dealerships and find it, and couldn't get anything.
You weren't even able to go local, were you?
No.
You had to go out of state.
I went to a broker.
Yeah.
And the broker found it for me.
He called all of his connections.
Out of state, and paid ADM.
Yep.
And you know, it was less than most of them were quoted.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't know, $25 grand less.
Yeah. So everybody wanted 100 over.
Yeah.
For a paint to sample, this is Gulf Blue. This is a PTS paint to sample. It's a $12,000 paint. option, right? Everybody was 100 over on this car when Kevin spec'd this car. And I will tell you today, in 2024, it's still 50 over.
Yeah.
If you want to buy it from Porsche.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the used market,
year, from what I understand.
well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's very much a rumor going around. It wouldn't surprise me, frankly. Yeah. So if you look at the used market right now, it's interesting. And I'm going to throw a couple of B-roll little clips on here for you guys to see, little rollover graphics. But I couldn't find one on the used market for less than 200.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything was 279, which is like a PTS 279, all the way down to about 210, 220.
Yeah.
Now you might be able to negotiate down to 200, but I don't think one's publicly sold yet for under 200.
Yeah, I would.
And so the reality is this: Porsche just never made the money the dealers did, right? And so if they do a 2025, what is the MSRP going to be?
Yeah.
Higher.
Right.
And so they're just going to continue to match what the ADM fee was, so Porsche can make the money. I mean, that's just the way it works, right? All supply and demand. It's just that simple. If they have 1,000 guys in Tennessee, it's where we live, right, that want to buy this car, and they only get 10 or 5 allocations, well, they can kind of, it is what it is.
Right.
Like, it's just supply and demand. It's what the market is willing to pay. So Kevin, I want to transition now. So Kevin is actually a guy that takes his vehicles to the track.
Yes.
And if you don't take a 4RS or a 3RS, not a GT3, but an RS specific product, a Ren Sport product to the track, I really think you're a clown. I'm just gonna say that. I really think you're missing out on 80 to 90% of what this car can do. Because on our point of view drive, we had fun, but I think I redlined it once and I was doing 120 miles an hour. And so how many, and I respect law enforcement. I know law enforcement. There's a couple of guys in law enforcement that watch my channel, and I thank you for letting me do what we do, okay? But in the end of the day, I only do that on camera to show you guys the potential of the car. Really, if you do that on the street, you're one bad ticket away from going to jail, okay? Because anything over 100 is a Class C felony, right? And you're not gonna be able to use this car on the street. It just is what it is. How was your experience on the track? You did 2 track days now, right?
Yeah, 2 track days.
You do that on the street, you're one bad ticket away from going to jail, okay? Because anything over 100 is a Class C felony, right? And you're not gonna be able to use this car on the street. It just is what it is. How was your experience on the track? You did 2 track days now, right?
Yeah, 2 track days, one at NCM and one at Polecat Training Center, PTC.
Yep.
And phenomenal. Just, you know, I've tracked Ferrari 458 there, a Jag F-Type R there. I've tracked my GT4 there.
You had a Miami Blue GT4.
Miami Blue GT4
That's where we met,
there.
actually.
Yeah, and so I've tracked a lot of cars there, and it was phenomenal. And the sound, you just, you know, I feel like every time I get going in it, I feel like a kid on Christmas morning, and it's just phenomenal. And we laugh, and we're just giddy, going, I can't believe I'm hearing something that's right 8 inches behind my ear. This intake, it's incredible.
It really is. It's the most organic sound I've ever heard on any car.
Yeah.
You told me that you melted these tires down because you didn't put your camber settings right.
Yeah. I didn't set, you can set up the front and the back, and the manual tells you what to do, and you can set it up. And I just took it right off the factory and put it on the track. And unfortunately, after 2 track days, Cup 2s are done.
Now on the spec, you got the carbon mirrors, or does that come with the Visoc package? So all of this is carbon, right?
Visoc has the mirrors, the Indux,
plenums, the wing,
the chairs, right?
It gives you the carbon buckets.
Carbon fiber buckets.
Get your RS car
and the hood.
with the buckets, guys. Please.
Yeah, and you get the hood with it.
Yep.
I added the little triangle here.
Now, Kevin's gonna pop the front trunk for you guys. This is a really practical car. I mean, talk about a weekend warrior car. You could absolutely take you and your wife out if you don't mind beating you up on the highway. You could go on a nice rally or something. You've got enough room for a couple of overnight bags. This does have the carbon ceramic brakes just because they're black. You know, usually they're yellow, but you can get them in black now, which I think looks really good. These things rock, mostly because they're great on the track, yes, but you don't get a lot of brake dust on the street, which is nice. They can be a little bit bitey and they can be a little bit noisy when they're cold,
But I'm gonna show you this too. So this is what is directly behind your ears in this bad boy. And it is all carbon fiber. And when we say that you have this organic sensation from the car, guys, this is where the air is coming in. So your ear is right here and you hear a sucking sound right here. So when you shut the windows, it's pretty incredible.
Yes.
And I know you're never really gonna hear it like we hear it on camera, but man, does it sound good. So like Kevin was saying, you know, you have this. Now, they did add all this stuff with the new RS. So they added these NACA ducts for brake cooling. They added some extra fins up here.
Get a little cut.
They have this cut here, which is cool. Now in the new 911, they actually added an extra like kind of part here that directs air even more so. But on this thing, it's very cool. And of course, all this has been PPF, so you can successfully track it without beating it up too much. Overall, the only thing this car doesn't have is, interestingly enough, the PDLS headlights.
Yep.
And that's because Kevin couldn't get them from Porsche. Is that right?
Yeah, what happened was I had it ordered that way. And then because of wiring harnesses and whatnot, I believe it was in Ukraine. I may be wrong. So
Wow.
y'all tell me if I'm wrong. But during the war, they couldn't get them. So they discounted my lights and gave me the standard basic lights.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you get the PDLS headlights, which I do encourage you to get, they give you these 4 little LED lights and they really look cool when you're on the street. It gives it a nice little modern presentation. Now you said you're actually going to order some aftermarket and install them,
I have
right?
some. I have some on the way that are actually, it was where you had to change the whole wiring harness and everything. Now these are just plug-in.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I have some on the way
Very cool.
that they cost about the same as what I got the discount for from Porsche.
Let's see, is there anything to talk about on the interior as far as specs or upgrades? I mean, you have the illuminated door sills, which are really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
You do, guys, if you don't know, he also has, what are these called again?
Those are Crazy Eddie bolster protectors.
Crazy Eddie bolster protectors. So this is typically the only area that gets beaten up on these carbon buckets.
So I added those, yeah.
Yeah, so this is definitely something. And again, I'm gonna say it one more time if you didn't hear me. If you order an RS product, okay, get the buckets, please.
Oh, yeah.
If you order a GT3 and you don't plan on tracking it, get the 18 ways. That's totally fine. But if you get an RS product, get the buckets, okay? It's just like a no-brainer. Pay the money and order it. Now you can see here, you've got the Visceral RS here. This is also where you do your cup holders, guys. So this thing is practical if you want it. I don't know if you knew that. So you do have 2 cup holders in this car. And I love the fact that it's still analog with the new school technology, but you know, you still have physical buttons. And it's just great. This thing has the front lift. Make sure you get the front lift. Please get the front lift. It really should be standard, but it's not. Yeah. And this is also an upgrade he did here too. You can get the premium package here where you still have a little bit of leather, so it's not all Alcantara. And this is, I think this was standard color, right? You didn't order blue for the door handles, right?
Yeah, this is just, I think it's deep sea blue.
Yeah, it comes with the
deep sea blue,
package,
which is the same as
the seats are blue.
The seats and the
and it
seat
looks
belts.
Great.
Yeah.
And
the stitching.
Does this come with it too, right here? Because
I
that's
added
typically
that.
Yeah. See,
it's
he added that.
Anything is an add-on.
Yeah, Porsche charges you for rear camera, guy.
Yeah.
If you want parking sensors and a backup camera, they charge you for it.
Everything's an add-on.
Absolutely insane. Yeah. It's just, and that's why, and people are always like, why are they so expensive? It's because of the profit margin.
Yeah.
You know, it's expensive because people will pay it.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And it's the most profitable company in all of VW's lineup, right? And it is what it is. But they make a hell of a product. They really do.
Worth it.
Worth it. I know. Like, I don't get out of this car going, it's overpriced.
No.
I went into this review thinking that.
There you go.
But now that I drove it and you guys get to watch the POV, I'm thinking, damn, maybe it's worth the ADM fees and all the craziness, right? And that's just the reality of it. Now, the only other thing to mention on the exterior is this is not factory, guys. So Kevin did add this orange here, and he also added this orange sticker. And what I thought was interesting is from the factory, you can get the black, you can get, I think, yellow and red stickers.
Yeah, the black is how it came.
And so he actually added the orange, but he did it with a little bit of an offset to kind of give it a shadow, which I think looks really cool.
Yeah.
So,
and then in the RS on the wheels, that was
okay. How did you? Is that just a cap or is that a sticker that you bought for that?
It's a sticker.
Okay, cool.
And I've got the guy, I can give you the contact. He has stickers for all this.
Cool.
Mark, and then on the front.
Yeah, you got them in the front here. That's a nice touch. And then I think you're going to get a couple of like dual stripes down the middle,
I've got some little stripes coming that are going to have some orange in there, and it'll go all the way down through the wing.
That's gonna look really hot.
Yeah, it'll look great.
Because we were just talking about this, you know, if you want the GT4RS painted kind of inner stripe here, it's $11,000.
$11,000 add-on.
$11,000.
And it'll delay your order a couple months as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you checked every box. I mean, the only thing you didn't get was the magnesium wheels, which would have added, what, 12 grand, I think?
16.
16.
16.
Damn.
So I decided
16
I'm good.
grand. Wow. That's a lot for wheels.
And if they chip pretty easy.
Yeah, 16
And you got to
grand.
replace it.
16 G's, huh?
Yeah.
That's expensive.
It makes it 20 pounds lighter, so I just figured I could lose 20 pounds.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
That's what Andreas says, right? Yeah, you could also go on a diet.
That was a window in the GT4.
And you do have a little bit of a blind spot. That is true. That is true. So be mindful of that. If you do a lot of city driving, which this is really not the car you want to take downtown Nashville. Man, on a back B road, she delivers the goods. All right, guys, we're driving the GT4RS. Now, I have never driven a GT4RS, okay? So, starting out, Kevin's mic'd up as well. He might give his thoughts on camera. Just gonna start off, you know, butter through the neighborhood here just so you can get an idea of what the dual personality nature of this car is. Obviously, when you're going 910, 1010 on this car, it's gonna be incredible, I would think, but is it decent around town, you know? Can you take it to Publix and get some groceries? So I will tell you on a first impression, I've reviewed the GT4, I've reviewed the Spider, I reviewed the 781 and the 981 generation, or excuse me, the 718. I will tell you that this is definitely harsher, just from a first impression. You can feel every little, you know, bump in the road, and you know, this feels like a sports car. You know, wow. Coming over that bump.
Definitely.
Yeah, you definitely know you're in a GT4RS, right? So this is definitely sprung for the track, and you know, this has the bushings in it, and has the harsher suspension setup, and the stiffer springs, and all of it. But I think you could honestly get away with dailing this car if you had to, or you wanted to. But just so you know, if you have a big meal at dinner and you're taking your wife home, she's probably going to be a little looking at you with the stink eye, you know, like, okay, you know, this thing's a little much, okay? I got a little upset, nausea feeling here.
Probably not a date night car.
Probably not the best date night. Doesn't rattle, you know, the bucket seats, they're just tight. And you can see here, just getting off, butters through the gears. It is loud. I mean, I'm just taking it easy until we get out of Dodge a little bit, because, you know, like, there's still, this is, I don't want to be, you know, take it easy, guys, you know, or when you're around populated areas. But we do have the exhaust opened up. You can hear the air. You know, all the reviewers always talk about how the intake plenums are right behind your head, and it is true. I mean, you could hear them right there, and it's definitely an organic experience, no doubt about it. But it's loud. I mean, you know, and it's one of those things that, fortunately, even though we're both mic'd up with these brand new DJI mics and they're fantastic, it's never going to pick up what we're hearing in the car. And so if you do have the opportunity to, you know, enjoy one of these in person, you got to, you know, and you're never going to get that organic sensation that me and him are hearing right now. But if you don't want to go crazy, I'm going to turn this exhaust off. Other than the harshness of the suspension, it's pretty quiet in here. I mean, if you don't want to be going for it, and you just want to have a nice little Sunday morning cruise to get some coffee or whatever, you know, and it's cold outside, you can get away with it in this car. You know, the PDK, it just butters along with the best of them. It's still an automatic transmission, you know. You don't have to be going crazy. Getting on to more B roads now. We haven't quite gotten to my fun road yet, but you can hear how loud these Cup 2 tires are. I say that in all the reviews. If you want a car that really is quiet, this is never going to be it, frankly. You could put on PS4 tires and you could get a lot more quietness out of these wheels, but in the end of the day, it's a sports car, you know? And you know, when you're doing that, you're never going to hear the tires anyways, right? All right, guys, we're coming on to my back roads that I typically like to have a little bit of fun. It's about 65 degrees today, so, you know, we can have a little bit of fun. But we're going to take it easy. It's still back roads.
sound is just amazing.
That sounds so flippin' good.
Oh gosh, I know.
That is the most organic sounding thing I have heard in a while. Wow. Just butter, butter, butter on these roads. Jeez. I mean, again, it's way too much for the street. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I'm not even taking it to red line. I mean, you just can't really use it, but man. You know, people talk about the Porsche PDK transmission, right, and how good it is, but guys, it never cuts power. It's like driving an electric car. It's just absolutely amazing.
That sound.
God, that air intake. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's so organic. And it's 50-50 weight balance, you know, whereas the 911, all of the weight is in the very ass end of the car. This, it's mid-engine. It's literally the best car they make for balance dynamics, no doubt about it. God, just fantastic. The downshift, I mean, that never gets old. That just never gets old. That never gets old. I mean, just letting it sit at 5,000, right?
Oh, yeah.
And just listening to that at engine. There's just nothing else on the market like it except the Porsches. And that is why there's so crazy aftermarket demand and they're so hard to get your hands on them, because there's no other manufacturer that gives you that. So good. Really, really something, guys. I don't have any negatives from the driving perspective. I mean, you could say it's too harsh, you could say it's too loud, whatever, but you know, grow up. I mean, that's kind of why you buy the damn thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not that crazy 600 horsepower twin turbo engine that you just can't ever use. Like, it's really organic. Yeah, it's never out of control. You feel like you can really put the power to the ground. It's so balanced with the PDK transmission. Just fantastic. Wow, yeah, this thing, I mean, Kevin and I were just joking on camera, you know, it's like, I mean, I have a smile.
Oh, yeah.
He has a smile. He's having as much fun as I am, I guarantee you, just being in the passenger seat, because it's so organic.
I enjoy hearing other people really experience it, because the video is great. It just doesn't do the same as the sound that you get inside, and it's just, I've never heard this before. This is amazing.
It really is, and it's never going to be repeated again. I mean, this is peak horsepower wars, peak just awesome factor, right? I mean, there's nothing else coming out on the market that sounds like that. You can literally hear the air sucking through the plenum right behind your ear.
You're literally 8 inches away from the...
You're 8 inches, and I don't know how they did it. I know Jay Leno talked about this on his review, but you do not feel any heat coming through the engine.
Not at all.
And even in the Corvette, you definitely feel it. So I don't know how they did it.
I got my hand on it, and
I don't know how they did that.
I
have that right there is a feat of engineering all to itself, frankly. That you have 500 horsepower, I mean, well, 490 something, right? 491 right behind your ear, but you don't have any heat. Really fantastic, because I mean, typically mid-engine cars will roast your you-know-what if you're not careful, especially in the summer.
Right.
You know, one of the negatives you could say about the Cayman, guys, is that it doesn't have the new modern interior. You know, when they came out with the 992 Porsche, if you're not paying attention, they redid the entire interior, right? But, you know, Kevin and I were just talking. I actually like the fact that you have analog gauges. All your gauges are analog, right? For the most part. I like the fact that you still have buttons, you know, physical, glorious buttons for everything. Whereas when you buy any new modern car, a lot of them are, everything's through the damn screen. So this car in so many ways still has more of an old school kind of vibe to the interior, and obviously an old school vibe to the engine, which, you know, I just think is going away. And so, yeah, you could make an argument that the 992 Porsche is definitely a bit nicer in the fact that it's all more modern, but there's nothing really wrong with, you know, the Cayman. I think it's pretty hot. One thing they could put on this thing is like a horsepower meter and a torque meter. That would have been fun, right?
You've got some of those over here.
Yeah, you've got, yeah, this is just like the 991.2. Yeah, but you don't have, you have the G meter, G-force meter.
Yeah.
But you don't have any like horsepower, torque, you know.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, because I know they could easily show you that.
I don't really know how to do all this. I don't look at it much.
Yeah, they do have this performance, but that doesn't actually show you what you're giving it. It just gives you your range of it. Anyway,
yeah,
so you know,
really appreciate this car. You got to get it on the track.
Yeah, I have to get it on the track. Yeah,
it's a beast. It's so much fun.
And it'll do everything it's supposed to do. It won't overheat. It won't cook the brakes. It'll just work.
Track all day long and drive home.
Literally all day long. Yep. You can do 4 20-lap sessions in this thing, and it'll be fine. And there are so few manufacturers where that's the case, right? And it just man, I'm blown away by that engine. That is amazing. Oh, we're not in manual anymore. And the gear shifts and just everything. Wow. And you know, even if you're not gonna go all the way to red line, the fact that you could, you know, shift it early is still great. It's just fun, you know.
I love this shifter.
Yeah, I've never done the paddles once, guys. I don't know. I mean, I'm with Kevin. I'm always doing this. It's like the old school manual vibe. I mean, these aren't even that good either. Like, they don't have much of a tactile feedback to them, you know? Like, you barely, like, there's no clicking sound. Like, you know you're pushing them, but this is more fun.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. And I'm also not a fan of having them on the steering wheel, because when you're full lock-to-lock on a track, you can't push them. And so oftentimes what you'll do is you'll find yourself holding a gear a little bit longer than you otherwise would, so you could straighten the wheel and grab the paddle. It's just true.
That's so much better.
Yeah. You don't have that problem. That's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no negatives to the PDK.
No.
And it's funny, guys, you know, if you're watching this and you're thinking about configuring your Porsche with a manual, not obviously the RS, but just a manual or a PDK, this is the only manufacturer that I actually recommend you go and you do the PDK. You do the automatic. Because especially if you want to track it,
it shifts so much faster.
So much faster, and the engines are built and configured for PDK.
Yeah.
So when you get the manual, you're going to lose horsepower, you're going to have higher shift points, especially in the GT4.
Yeah.
If you get a GT4, I really recommend you get the PDK, and they actually go a little over market, a little extra market value is given to the guys who put the PDKs in versus the manual. I know you're thinking, well, wait a minute, aren't the manuals dying? You know, isn't manual supposed to be the vehicle, or that, you know, you're supposed to be collectible? Well, yeah, but in the end of the day, if you just want to maximize the car and what the car and the engine can do, I don't care what you tell me, the PDK is better. It's a better driving experience. And so I would recommend you get the PDK. Now, if you get an RS, like we're in right now, you don't have an option, right?
Right.
This is only comes with the RS because this is supposed to be the track car, and frankly, this is you cannot shift. You can't do this, guys. I don't care how good you are, you know, and you can't launch it, you know, as good as a PDK can. You want to go ahead and try do a launch? I don't know. We could try.
Sure. Yeah.
I've actually never done a launch on one of these things.
Oh man,
have you ever done it?
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I've done it
all the time.
All the time.
Do it in PDK. It's better.
All right.
There. You're all set.
So what do? Just hold down the...
Yeah.
So you hold this down and let it off?
Hold your brake down and push on the gas as much as you can, and then just let the brake go.
All right. This is a factory production car? I mean, what? That is, I mean, come on. That is unbelievable.
This was their celebration.
Yeah, this was
the last.
Yeah.
The last celebration of this car before it goes electric.
Yeah, exactly. They knew it too. They're like,
Yeah.
you know what? This
They
is our
said, we're
final
just going to do it
setup.
all out.
Yep. We're going to give you the car you always wanted.
That's
we're
right.
going to give you the cup engine. We're going to give you the big 4-liter. We're going to give you the 500 horsepower. And we're going to put it in our mid-engine Cayman, right? Ugh, that PDK, man.
I know.
It's so good.
I know. You
I
just
do
drive
know.
it in the PDK all the
I
time.
Wow. Ah, praise the Lord.
I know.
Praise petrol heads. You know, it's funny, you know, Jeremy Clarkson's always saying, you know, I'll never drive an electric car, and I daily my electric cars and I love them, but there's no amount of electric car and performance that's ever going to give you this kind of organic sound and feeling. And it's a shame that, you know, a generation or two from now is really never going to experience it, or, you know, only unless they're, you know, we're the grandfather, right?
Yeah.
We're saying, well, come on over here, check this thing out. Let me show you what a real car is.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, what an experience, Kevin. Really.
My pleasure. It's
That's
definitely
fantastic.
one of those I highly recommend anyone. Just take a ride in one. It's they're amazing.
Yeah. Like, wow. I'm blown away. I really am. It's amazing how much better it is than the GT4 too.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I reviewed multiple GT4s and I think they're great cars, but they're really not that fast.
No.
This
and
thing-
the gearing, the shifting is a lot shorter.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing 86 in second gear, you know, but this thing, wow. This thing's a mother effing animal, boys.
Oh yeah.
Well, guys, if you made it this far into the video, really appreciate you watching. You know, share it with a friend. Go ahead and get into the comments. You have a question for Kevin, you know, if it's something we didn't cover, or if you also hate the ADM fees and think they need to change all the practices, you know what? Go down and tell us about it. If you think I did a terrible job reviewing the car, go ahead and tell me about it. Hey, I've heard it all at this point. But I can't thank you enough for hanging
My
with me
pleasure.
for a few hours.
Thanks
It's a
for
lot of
letting me
fun.
be part of this.
Really
This has been
special
fun.
car. I mean, the reality
It
is
is.
you're one of a very handful of people that have this car.
I'm blessed.
I only know of one other guy in town that has one. It's a
Yeah.
green one,
Yeah.
and you probably know him, right?
Yep.
But that's it. It's not like there's a lot of these rolling around. This will probably be the only one I see
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Unless I run into the same guy that I'm talking about, which I see him a lot at the car events, but it's not like he just drives it every day. So it's just a rare bird. I really am curious how many
It's
they're
really
going to make.
special.
I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000,
See if they.
800. I don't know.
Yeah. We were being told around 3.
3,000
Yeah.
RSs.
Yeah.
That's more than I thought, actually.
Yeah.
More than I thought,
So-
considering the price point.
But because they're delayed right now, there's some delays at the shipping right now for Porsche, and none of the new ones are coming over right now for some delays, electronics or something, maybe less. So
And they're going to cut it in 25, huh?
that's what I've read. You know, they could change their mind.
So I haven't read that yet. I gotta do some Googling and I'll find out what I see. But yeah, 25. Wow, that's a short run.
Yeah,
2-3
it's gonna
years.
be 3 years.
Then you factor in the COVID delays and all the BS. I mean,
Right.
They must not have got. I don't know how they're gonna get to 3,000 cars.
Yeah.
Because I know Nashville has gotten 2 allocations,
Right.
maybe 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's not more than 3.
Right.
So
So maybe less.
that's not many. I mean, you know, that's the only dealership in Nashville. So let's say there's 2 other dealerships in Tennessee, and
Yeah.
you're talking, you know, our state got 10 cars, 15 cars at most. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a lot. And that's what we're saying. It's a rare bird.
It is.
It really is a rare bird.
It's special. It really is.
It's
I'm
a good
blessed to be
one
able
to
have
keep.
It
You
is.
know, it's a
yeah.
good one to keep in the family.
Yeah.
I just never. I don't think this car will ever be worth less than 200 grand.
Yeah, I think
it's safe
maintain
money.
around there.
As
Yeah.
long as, especially if they stop production around 1800, 2000, 2200, wherever they're going to get
Right.
to, if they actually cut it in 25, yeah, I think your money's safe.
Yeah, especially with the uniqueness of it, with that intake, that's never been done with Porsche.
And once you drive it, you get it.
Not that I know of. Maybe there's a GT or something that has something like that, but I've never seen that done.
Yeah, it's something to know, guys. The new 911 RS does not sound like this.
Yeah.
It does not have that same visceral
Yeah.
experience that this car does.
Yeah, I don't need any additional, muffler package or anything like that, because inside
No,
you've got
it
plenty.
sounds so
I mean,
loud.
it's so good.
Yeah, and we were just talking about it when we were driving. You throw an aftermarket exhaust in this thing, the Karens of the world are going to know you're having fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
trust me, they know you're having fun already, okay?
Right.
Because when you're hitting 8,000-9,000 of this thing, it sounds like you're crazy, right? And you're going fast.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, this is the best sounding stock car I've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
By
Yeah.
a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I've reviewed
Me too.
a lot of exotic cars.
Yeah.
This thing, I mean, I was so blown away just buttering it. You know what I mean? Because you just give it a little bit of gas, and you hear that engine, and you hear that
And
sound.
then you get that downshift.
Oh, that downshift
lump.
is just awesome.
It is.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like almost like a turbo blow off. Like
Yeah.
it literally has that same kind of pss, pss sound.
Yeah.
Really
it's,
cool.
It's amazing.
Oh, this was a fun one, guys. It's not every day we get to do a 4RS review. I hope the Algo picks this one up. I know there's a lot of 4RS content out there, but there's not a lot of guys that come on camera as the owner. It's usually journalists.
Right.
And so it's fun to hear your
That's true.
perspective. You got to hear his perspective on the tires. Making sure you set it up right for the track. Obviously, the car hasn't given you any issues, right?
No.
I mean, you've
none
had
at
no
all.
problems, right?
It's been fantastic.
Is there anything else you'd want to say to somebody looking to buy one of these, even paying maybe an ADM fee?
Yeah, I mean, if you got the means, I would highly recommend obtaining one. It's phenomenal. I think, in my opinion, and I've owned Ferraris,
You've had some
Aston Martins,
You've had an 812 for God's
mini
sakes.
Porsches.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've had
I've
some
had
hot
some
metal.
really great cars. For me, this is the best car you can buy for under $3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really think it is. So-
it's up there in a very exclusive club.
Especially if you're going to track. I mean,
Oh, it's the best car.
it's it is so much fun.
I can't think of a car for that kind of money except for the 911 GT3.
Yeah.
I mean, just a GT3,
Yeah.
not an RS, because
Right.
the RS is 500,000, right?
Right.
I mean, or at least 450.
Right. And then this blows the G23 away.
I would rather have that.
Oh yeah.
I would
all day.
absolutely rather have that.
All day. All day.
Because it's just mid-engine. It's a better driving experience.
Hmm.
Now, if somebody were to give me a 911 RS allocation
Yeah.
at MSRP,
Yeah.
I'd take that. But
Exactly,
but if
right.
it was my money and I had to pay 500 or I had to pay 300, I'm taking this.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's a better car. I really do. So, hope you enjoyed it, guys. That's it for us. Appreciate you watching, and we will catch you on the next one.